Hey everybody, it's Lynn Mai with Men Cry in the Car. Y'all been getting so excited about these episodes. Have y'all can y'all tell like I'm super excited about these episodes, this podcast because today is episode 18. 18 men have come on this platform to share their story, to share their hearts, their feelings, their thoughts, all the things, and they understand that people will be watching them live, and it could be a replay, and they're not holding back. So I appreciate everyone that's coming on today. I have a special guest, my how should I say, my best friend's husband's brother has decided to grace us with the stage today and he has a lot to say. That's what I titled on the flyer. I have something to say because when I spoke to him behind the scenes, everybody, like, he really had some things that he needs to get off his chest and things that he was just really open and passionate about. So, what I'm going to do right now is bring on Roderick Smith, and we are going to say hey to Roderick. What's up?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Greetings and
Yeah.
salutations. A pleasure to be here. Very
Yes.
great.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you saying yes because I know you and I have not met each other. But the fact that you like, my brother think you cool, then hey, let's do it. And so that means a lot. You know, it really means a lot. But I'm so glad you are here. But because I am getting to know you, and I know the people that are going to be watching live and those that watch the replay want to know who you are too. So can you just tell us a little bit more about who Roger Smith is?
Okay. Hello again, everyone. I am Roderick Smith. I guess I gotta kind of start from the beginning, right? Born and raised in Asheville, North Carolina. Grew up in the projects, right? When you hear individuals say I'm from the mud, I believe that's typically where I'm from. The projects named D Review Apartments. Um, Single, came from a single home per se. My mom raised me and my two other brothers. Um, and then the one that you're referring to, my brother Carlos, actually, we had the same dad. So my two younger brothers had the same mom. So within me, no one has the same mom and dad, if that makes sense, except my two younger brothers. But and still, right, grew up in the projects, grew up in the 80s and the 90s, experienced a lot, seen a lot. Um, Ended up going to college, right? I think even still to today, that I know of, I was one of the ones that actually made it out and decided to go to college, where I attended North Carolina Central University for my undergraduate years. Graduated, had a degree in criminal justice. Uh, Ended up working in law enforcement some, so I really dabbed in law enforcement for a while. I kind of just been everywhere. Right now, I am the director for the Matriculation Institute at Fayetteville State University, which is a entirely, when I explain exactly what that is, I would say the blueprint that I did not have when I went through college, right? So as a black man, I think I always say one or two things, and this is just the generation that I'm dealing with now. If you're in college, you have that one individual that doesn't necessarily know why they're in college, like literally
Mm.
their mom or dad or their grandmama wanted them to come to college and they're like first gen, or I'm just here. You literally can
Mhm.
say, why are you here? And they say, my grandmama made me come. You know what I mean? Or my mom
Mhm.
wanted me to come. Or you have that one that is academically successful, right? So the other end of it is you can be academically successful, whether you're at a North Carolina Central University or Harvard or Yale. But where we tend to lack at as black men or men, period, once we get to that level, is the engagement part. And that's kind of where my program is steered to, right? Mentorship and things of that sort. So while you're in college, getting you outside of that room, outside of that box, off that video game, off that YouTube and things like that, because that's where I found out that's where you can really become successful, being in those places and things like that as far as network. But yeah, I've done it all. Like I said, law enforcement before I actually started teaching in the high school and coaching in the high school. So I know a little bit about gangs and grew up around it, but then actually being able to study those things within my career and things of that sort too. I do have children. I've been married for going on 15 years. So just an all around learner myself, right? All around learner. I like to pride myself on an educator and a mentor.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Mhm. And that's some really good information. And so yeah, so thank you for reminding me of that. So underneath the picture that you sent me, you had educator, mentor. Um oh, what are the other two that are escaping me?
Uh,
Um
Probably
oh,
speaker,
Pub
influencer, all of
influencer, right?
it.
Influencer speaker. Yes, thank you. Because I was just like, I didn't want to forget that because you wear all these hats I see, and especially in the position that you're in right now, currently. That is so important to have this that title, that reach, that engagement with them. Because I remember like when I went to school too, because at that time I was the second of my parents' children to go to school. But that's what I thought too. Like if people would ask me why I was in school, I'd be like,
Yeah, oh no.
I'm supposed to go, because my parents didn't go to college. Well, my dad went a little bit, but my mom had a high school diploma, so it was that. So I really did not understand why I was there. I learned very quickly because I knew what I wanted to be in life, but still, the question would have been like, I don't really know. And since you said that, I want to ask that question: how many children, nope, let me back up. How many young men are saying those things to you, or they answer it that way? Like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just here because this or that. Like, I don't even know what I want to do with my life. I just know I was supposed to come to college. How many of those do you experience?
I honestly, I a lot, right? Even within my program, getting to know them on a daily day basis, right? So right now, I'm in the second, going into the second year of this program, um, and the program is exceeding. Like it's amazing to see the impact that I have on these young men. But even just going
Mm-hmm,
into them, this is my first year. Like I said, I've taught in high school and things of that sort. In the state of North Carolina, instructed different things, but actually, this is my first semester actually getting in the classroom at that college level, right? A
mm-hmm,
4 year college, and that's one of the first questions that I ask on the first date, like, how many of you all know why you're here? And the amount of hands that go up, or it'll blow your mind, like that don't know, right?
mm-hmm,
And I think um is gotten to the point where let me just put it like this, right? So when I was coming up, we were taught education, right?
mm-hmm,
We was trying to kind of taught education, but the generation before me, they were heavy on education and a trade, right? And I'm going somewhere here because that's kind of what I put into my program, right? So when I say we program strategically around everything, I do believe
mm-hmm,
that everything or everyone is not meant to go to college, right?
mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
you have to ask that hard question: why are you here? And if you don't know, not necessarily saying you're not supposed to be here, but if you don't know, then we got to figure out, well, why are you here, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
that's where we kind of lack at. But I'm getting out the way because I'm passionate about what I talk about.
mm-hmm,
But it is a lot of students that don't know why they are there. I think it's just like they know that there's an option, right? You pretty much have military, or you're going to college, or you're going to work, and
mm-hmm,
that's the reason that the program was
mm-hmm,
created, because once you're there, right, you're suffering with imposter syndrome, or you're that student that I said is in the room, and you're looking at your homeboy, your homegirl that works at the chicken plant, or that works at Family Dollar, and you're on your phone, and he works at Walmart, but he has his own apartment and he has his own
mm-hmm,
car, and you're looking and you're wondering, heck, is college really for me? You know what I'm saying? And you end up dropping out. So my program is just tiered to retain individuals and things of that sort. But uh,
mm-hmm.
to answer your question, there's a lot of I would honestly say, if I had to guess, literally, it would definitely be, I would say, half and half that truly know why they're there. It's like 50%. It's probably half and half, because you might know why you're there. It's just, I need an education because
Mhm,
I want to make more money. Most of them will tell you, I believe that I'm here to make more money, but then
mhm.
the whole entity itself, because we know that you don't necessarily need college to make a lot of money nowadays if you do
No.
it the right way, right? So, yeah, so it's a lot. I think it's a
Mhm,
lot. and individuals kind of just go. Some
Just go.
individuals run. Some people run
Mhm.
from their homes. They're like,
Mhm.
I'm not doing military.
Mhm.
I'm scared of war. So
Mhm.
let me go to college, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'll talk a little bit about that challenge later.
Mhm. So this is the reason why I asked this question. I know for those that are watching or some they're gonna watch a replay, like, why is she even asking that? The reason why I brought it up is because of I feel like that's where young men are conditioned, not just the college aspect. I'm not talking about that. We're conditioned. Young men are conditioned to be a certain way.
Hmm.
We're conditioned to act a certain way, conditioned to perform a certain way. And it's just like when you ask the question, why are you here at college? And some like, I don't know. It could be the question of what makes you act that way when you are angry, or what makes you act that way when someone doesn't listen to you? I don't know, because it's out of conditioning. So you think about the child, and I know a little bit about y'all's upbringing or whatever, but you think about a lot of young black men that are growing up. You think about the child that is conditioned to perform a certain way. That child is going to show up like that all the time until they are introduced to something else. Just like when you talk about with college, well, it's not that you shouldn't be here. It's like, let's get you to understand why you are here.
Hmm.
And I want to bring that up. I'm bringing that up simply because of the emotion part. If I'm conditioned to be strong and like a robot and show no emotion and show all that, then I don't know to say I'm hurting. I don't know to say I don't know to cry. I don't know to show emotion outside of being very masculine or whatever, because feminine energy and masculine energy lives in all of us. So, but I don't know for that to be a brave space or a safe space. So, people like you are very important, not only at the colleges, but I think that's a really good place to start, because now they've gone through high school, all that, and now they're starting to be young adults, but still in like children mentality. Does any of this make sense? Because as I'm
It
talking, I'm
does.
like, I'm really hoping he understands what
It
I'm
does.
saying.
It does.
Okay.
And you use the word condition,
Hmm.
right? So even if you're thinking about education, right? Because I am an educator.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about those things, I just told you that I've actually been in law enforcement. I've dealt with juveniles. Dealt with gang members, right? And to your point, that the condition starts early, right? So you're thinking about elementary school to middle school to high school and now to college. So again, and I'm passionate about what I talk about because I've lived it. I'm not just talking about it. Like I've sat behind that desk. I've sat when COVID was here. I've sat and talked to these individuals that it took time to gain my trust and things like that. And I say all that to say is you're conditioned one way, right? So up into a lot of people don't realize this, but up until to next year, right? Most of these college students now, right, aren't the college students of when I was in school. And this is why I say the blueprint is important, right?
Hmm.
COVID hit, and I know here, the county that I work in, um, you have individuals, right? So back in the day, excuse me, it was no child left behind, right? And now it's every child succeeds, right? And so,
Yep.
so our conditions say every child succeeds, right? But is that necessarily true? Every
Mhm.
child isn't successful, right? And I
Mhm.
know I'm probably going to step on some toes for the individuals that's watching this, but people, let's be real with ourselves. Like in middle school and high school, right? I've dealt with it, and you're literally pushing these individuals through high school, right? But you're taught and you're preparing them and telling them to be conditioned that once they get to college and the real world is not going to be like that. But here
Correct.
we are, you've missed 42 days and you still have this high schooler that graduates, right?
Mhm.
You still have
Mhm.
this individual that has no dad
Mhm.
in his life, and he's not taught manhood, or he's not taught how to perform or how to express emotions and things like that. And oftentimes we just have to literally look at ourselves too and say we've done that. Up until next year, um,
Yeah.
Lynn, you don't need, you didn't even need, or you don't need um, a SAT anymore
I
to get
know.
in college. So what are we saying? And so
Mhm.
those conditions are there, and so that's what I kind of try to teach the men. Even when, like I said, I love high schools. Even though I'm in college, the mind frame that COVID put them back. I always look at these students 2 years behind, right? So this is why
Yeah.
the program is very beneficial. And when I go in the community, I look at them a little bit younger because I know the mentality. So when you're dealing with those athletes or those different people, I always preach life, right? I say, I'm not on teaching,
Mhm.
I'm on life. Like you're a
Mhm.
great athlete. I've seen them. They don't know how to express those emotions, right? They don't
Mhm.
cry out for help. And you're the top notch athlete in the county. And I literally say, hey, we need to talk. So I try to have those sessions, those one-on-ones on them to break that emotional barrier because you're talented enough to go anywhere, right? For the
Mhm.
most part. But your last 2 years or your last year, you should have been focusing on how to shut up. You should have been focusing on how to be how to be on time. You
That's
you
what
should
I'm
have
talking about.
focus on not your mama waking you up in the morning because once you get to college, right, there's gonna
Correct.
be different things, right? Or once you
Correct.
get
So,
to life.
so you know that's exactly where my brain was going with all of this because I was just getting ready to say, how do you help these young men that okay, we'll stay on COVID. How do you help these young men that are 2 years, some 3 years, but 2 years behind because of COVID, but were already behind before COVID? Okay,
Mm-hmm,
let's just
mm-hmm,
go there
mm-hmm.
because like you said, you should have been listening, learning how to shut up. You should have been learning how to wake yourself up, like all these things. These are young men that are being placed into the world with no life skills,
Mm-hmm.
placed into the world with no emotional intelligence, placed in the world like go and do that and make these choices and can't even say outwardly, I need help.
Yep.
Like, where do we start?
Yep. And it starts at home. It's
Hmm.
pushed on at home, but I'll just say this: me
Yeah.
having children of my own, and I have a son. He's 10, right? And now I'm focused on those things, right?
Hmm.
And I'm heavily focused on those things. And oftentimes I look at myself like, when does it start, right? Um,
Yeah.
when does it start? Like
Hmm.
it starts at home, and that's how you help. One thing I know about a black man,
Okay, let's
being
do
one,
it.
being around them all my life, friends, no matter the status that you're at, rich friends, poor friends, whatever the case may be. One thing I know about a black man is it takes time and it takes consistent effort to actually break that barrier that you're talking about. I'm not talking about once a week or twice of here or there. It's kind of like I'm thinking as I'm talking, like it's kind of like a family reunion, right? Uh
Hmm.
when you had those cousins come in, and your mom like, hey, this cousin such and such, or that's your cousin Puffy.
Yeah.
Like for me as a black, I'm like, man, I ain't whatever, whatever. I'm gonna get my plate and I'm going to change. I'm going to run the street with my homeboys, right? And that's
Right.
just real. So when you think about those things, you're trying
Hmm.
to push those things off, right? Even in my program, right? Even as I teach, even as I'm in the community, that first day or that first session, you're probably going to be quiet, right? Everyone knows how many of y'all we're constantly on crowd participation, right? But we know it's going to be one or two out of 30 that's really engaged and locked in, and oftentimes that frustrates us as well, right? Because we spend a lot of time and effort on trying to reach the whole room. And what I've learned and what I've discovered is if I can just get one, I live by this motto. If I can just get one, right, then I've done my job because that one may go change the nation. Or a couple of years from now, he may reach and drop some nuggets on 10 or 20 or 30 more people. But
Right.
oftentimes, I think us as parents, as fathers, or different ones too, we try to get the whole room um, on that level. So going back to what you're saying, how do we actually I guess bridge that gap or get them to that point? It's
Hmm.
program. It's programming like this. Most of these
Yeah.
young men that I encounter,
Hmm.
they don't have fathers or they don't have uncles, or if they do, they didn't have them in home on a consistent basis at that
I
group. So
know.
I'm constantly working hard to communicate with them. Stop by my office. Let's talk. And again, I'm not on education. That's one beautiful part I love about my program. I'm there. We're heavily on keeping you, retaining you, but my
Yeah.
program is on the student engagement part. So I just told you it's not the academics. Academics, of course, but I'm on that. Come on out, get out your shell. Let's go to a football game. Let's go to a basketball game. Let's go to whatever. Because what I found out and I discovered too, Lynn, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to cut me off sometimes. Um,
No, no, no. This is good.
Be with another thing with a male,
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna give you anything if you ask for it, right? First, they don't know you, and then second, they this is you have to be comfortable. So things happen more organically.
Yeah.
I understand that I can reach my son, I can reach this hurt boy, this broke boy
Mm-hmm.
that's confused with his sexuality. I can reach
Mm-hmm.
all these individuals if it's more organically, right? So I'm not
Right.
gonna do anything. I have some nephews or some little cousins. Hey boy, you out there doing you messing with some girls? Or hey, you got a girlfriend? Hey, man, Uncle Rod, I'm not talking. But now if we out there playing basketball in and we shooting them jump shots or we and now it's just hey boy, you messing with it, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just
And
free
see.
flow. They giving me
And
information and I don't even know. Yeah, I'm talking about two of the little girl, you know what I'm saying? And so those are the things that we miss,
mm-hmm.
that we don't focus a lot of time and effort on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just consistent programming and consistent effort. And I'll be
Mm-hmm.
honest, at times it's challenging and it's very hard because let's face it, me as a father,
Yeah.
me and my wife own a business. I got all these other individuals behind me. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard not to lose focus on yourself, right? It's hard
Okay.
not to lose focus on yourself. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm. Well, you put a pin in there because I definitely want to hear it. So I think about, I always go back to the men in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I just do. My brothers, my husband. I just think about like if my dad and if my husband's father and like all these uncles truly showed up for these young men when they were boys, they would be better equipped with their emotions. And just like you said, it needs to be organic. It's not just like, what are you doing? How's this? It's like, no, you don't get anything from that because that feels very forced. That's the word I've been looking for.
Yep.
That feels forced. But if we're playing cards or dominoes or outside, like you said, playing basketball, whatever, I'm opening up because I'm having fun. It doesn't. I just feel like we're just like, pretty much just talking, right? Versus, okay, now I got to answer your question, and now I got to think about the right answer
Yep.
because it's like, oh, if I say the wrong thing, but if we just like, as they say, willy nilly, if we're
Yep.
doing that,
Yep.
then I mean, you're gonna get more information. Okay, so now this is the thing, and I think I already know your answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. If we raise our boys, me being a mom, fathers, if we raise our boys in the way of that, being organic, being like interested in what they want to do, like loving on them like that, how do you think they will be better equipped with their emotions?
First, they would definitely be better equipped with their emotions because they will be more open to share. Right,
Mm-hmm.
it happens naturally. They're not afraid to talk to you about anything, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
anything. Uh, Girls, sexual preference, drugs, whatever the case may be, because they've naturally been doing it all their life. Right. This is what we know. This is how we move. Um, and they will be open, um, for whatever reason, and it's passed down. Um, Especially as a man, we
Yeah.
have this, and I don't even want to say that it's basically unspoken because as I'm thinking
Say
of
it.
it as men, um, we have a and I'm going back to the title here, right? When I got a call and said be on the episode Men Cry in the Dark, I was like, oh man. I'm like, this title, where did she come up with this title? And I literally had to sit and think. It made me stop and think about why men cry in the dark, right? I mean in the car. And I literally thought about it and I was just like, why didn't she title it Men Cry in the House? Like, why didn't she title it Men Cry at Home? And it took me a moment and it dawned on me and I had to do some soul searching myself. And I was like, shouldn't the house be the safest place for a man to cry? right? But I'll tell you this in the audience. I already know, especially the men. There is pressure, so much pressure in the house. There's pressure in the home, right? For a man, there is pressure in that home, right? And even going to the car part. I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days. I'm really stuck on the title. I love the title. I was like, she owned something. I was like, men don't cry in the house, they cry in the car. If you think about the profession that we have as men,
Mm-hmm.
the least amount of time for the most part, unless you're a truck driver,
Mm-hmm.
is probably in the car. So Lynn, if you do cry, you dang on, it better be quick too. You see what I'm saying? It better be quick.
Yeah.
I say all that to say is we're not open enough to actually display these emotions and the openness to our sons or to
Mm-hmm.
our boys at an earlier age, right? And it's basic math. Everything in life to me is basic math. So if I have 20 years, I mean, I love that conditioning word. 20 years of being trained one way. Even when it's time to get to the level where I'm now comfortable, I gotta revert back to and disregard all of those that 20 years of the way that I've been trained, that 20 years of dealing with emotions, um, 20 years of whatever the case may be, and now I only have 2 years or this first year that I'm trying something new. So of course the old ways are gonna supersede everything else. But we
Mm-hmm.
definitely need to express those things and raise our boys up
Mm-hmm.
willing to express those things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just being transparent. That's something that I'm learning each and every day,
Mm-hmm.
mentoring that even with my child. Like I said, I have a 10-year-old son, and now I'm focusing on those soft skills. He does
Yeah.
great thing about it is he has an in-home living active father. I'll say that again,
And that
in-home
makes a difference.
active father, and he has his mother to give him that nurturing and kind of that other side of it. And as I'm working through it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still giving it to him, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. But we
Mm-hmm.
definitely have to tap in on those things because, as you, my brother Carlos that was on here earlier,
Mm-hmm.
we have the same father, and so I didn't have that myself. Like I told you at the beginning,
Yeah.
my mother raised me,
Yeah.
so you can't just pop in. Yeah, I'm your dad or I'm your father, and oftentimes we come in, and I'll just say this before we go move on. As a man, that pressure that I was just talking about,
Mm-hmm.
we have to often we got to be the bad guy. We the bad. Think about it. For the
Mm-hmm.
most part, we got to be the bad guy. That mom is there to nurture, the love, the care. They feel more comfortable coming to
Mm-hmm.
mom because
They do.
ideally, mom is gonna hug them and all those other things. That dad gonna be there to rule with an iron fist and to critique them instead of figuring out what needs to be figured out or why are you crying? Why did you do something so stupid or dumb? I just had an incident last night with my son. He hurt
Mm-hmm.
himself and he cut himself, and I was like, "You good?" And this is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We just be everywhere moving.
Mm-hmm.
Depression. I was like, well, you getting a band-aid? He's like, I cut myself, got a band-aid. So I looked at it last night. And he was like, well, it keep coming off. And he cut himself bad. But I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't smart. But I know a mom would have been like I said, he's 10. His sister was trying to cover up for him. She's 7. You know, they ride or dies. A mom would have been like, I don't care how big the cut is. Let me see it. Me as a dad is kind of that thing that we've been talking about. We've been conditioned to certain things. Hey, man, you all right. You ain't die. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Oh,
Yeah.
you did a band-aid. I'm proud that you went and got a band-aid. I ain't had to do it, boy.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
So yeah, so
That
it's
that right there is just so much because oh God, where do I start? First of all, okay, let me go back. So Men Cry in the Car came from the Lord. Okay. So God told me that's what the podcast is gonna be called. My husband confirmed it. Here
love
we
it.
are, Men Cry in the Car. That what you just said, mothers usually are. You want to say, oh, let me see, whatever. Because dads are like, okay, good, you're fine. All right, good. I didn't have to do it. You dealt with it. And that is the reason why we go back to young men finding places where they can feel safe with their emotions, adult men crying in the car, adult men that are adult men because of age, but still little boys on the inside. You know,
Mhm.
so all this kind of stuff. And this is the reason why it's important to continue to have these conversations because, again, as a therapist, yes, I can have them, but men want to hear from you. They want to hear from Carlos. Like they want to hear from Tim. They want to hear from other men simply because I'm not a man. And yeah, I know what I'm talking about mental health wise, but they still want to hear from you so they don't feel alone. I go back when you said that when you're talking about like if it were in the home and how men grew up that kind of way. If little boys are made, how should I say, are told are told that it's okay to cry, are told that it's okay to hurt, are told that it's okay, like how girls are. Oh, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Like if we are all treated the same as children are all treated the same, don't you know we will all grow up having more emotional intelligence?
Yep, absolutely.
Like, how is it that the female is okay to cry, but the little boy cannot? And this is, and yeah, I bring this up quite often on the podcast for those that watch. I bring this up quite often simply because that is a problem, not the problem, but a problem to a problem that needs to be rectified.
And, and,
Let these little children cry. He's 5, he's 6, he fell off his bike. Why are you telling him to man up? He got a whole scrape on his leg or he has a gash in his arm, but you're telling him to man up. He doesn't know anything about being a man. He's 5 years old.
mhm,
He just fell out, knocked his tooth out, and you telling him stop crying. He has blood all down his face and his shirt. He's scared.
mhm.
Like, I don't understand that. And then now you want that same child that had all that, you want him to grow up to be a man and show emotion.
Yep, and he
Like
has
like
none.
like they say, make it make sense.
Yep, and he has none. Not 5, 6, 7. It's okay for the 30-year-old man to cry
Oh
if,
God,
if
thank you.
if he if he needs to, right? And those are the things that we have to understand. That
Correct.
20, 30, that 40-year-old, and
Yeah.
what that does is that creates the lifestyle and the condition again that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It creates turmoil in the family,
Yeah. It does.
period. Because now, I talked about numbers earlier. I've been doing this for 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my emotions is literally cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's a man or a woman or whatever the case may be, and I'm just being vulnerable and open,
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact it's a struggle
Mm-hmm.
with me and my some of my frat brothers, my friends, everything, because we live in it. So if I
Mm-hmm.
haven't cried or I haven't been shown how to express
Yeah.
emotions, hell, let's be honest, I don't even know how to receive emotions. So let's get outside of the boy. If my wife cry, I'm a little bit more hesitant to consult her. If my daughter,
Exactly.
treat my
Okay.
daughter the same as the son. Now I got a 7-year old, and she fall. I'm like, that's sweet pea. Now she the word on my house lens, but I'm like, oh, you are, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm conditioned to do. That's what I've been doing, and so
That's right.
to your point, you have to express those things.
Yeah.
Me sitting here right now, just being open, I know
Mm-hmm.
that's my struggles because it wasn't taught to me. I didn't have a man
Mm-hmm.
in my house that showed me that hugged me. I come from a family that didn't hug. They still literally don't hug, and I had to train myself now that friends, family, whatever. I'm trying to hug more. I'm loving, and I love you. All
Mm-hmm.
right, with friend, close friend, or whatever. All right, love y'all. You know what I'm saying? When did it become that most boys, most men,
Mm-hmm.
they feel that it's a little funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be politically correct on here, but a
Right.
little
Right.
funny to say
Mm-hmm.
I love you and things of
Yeah.
that sort. And so those are the things, but I think it, outside of even those emotional things, it carries on to a lot more. Like I know, being raised in that kind of environment or that
Mm-hmm.
situation that you're talking about, it slowed me down, or it hurt me to show emotions,
Yeah.
to express emotions, to receive emotions. I am. The worst, probably the worst. My family and friend, everybody tell you, I'm the worst gift receiver in the world. I'll admit it
Mm,
because
mm,
there was hardly any love and different things
mhm,
shown in the thing, and I didn't receive much coming from the ghetto and different things like that. But when I receive it, you can buy me a pair of Ferragamos or whatever, and I'm cost you an arm and leg. I'm oh, thank you. Like no, you know what I mean? Because I don't know how to receive. I didn't
mhm,
receive that love. I didn't receive
mhm,
that emotion,
mhm.
that support.
Yeah.
So just imagine how that makes others feel around. And of course, if dad is always walking around upset or
Mhm.
I haven't seen him cry, he's not human. I'm not coming to him as a black boy, even though he looks like me. I'm
Yeah.
not coming to him because I see mom expressing. Mama gonna press you. Mama gonna stress you out a little bit, but mama gonna press you into the what? Mama gonna make this. This how crazy it is. The mama and the woman is going to. You already probably know what I'm doing. And I had this in
Mhm.
my house. The mama is going to make you cry. Daddy gonna ask what's wrong. Mama gonna beat it into you. What's wrong?
Mhm.
I see it in your face. What's wrong? What now? What's wrong? Next thing you know, the little boy breaking down crying because you done made him cry and think about whatever or the fact that he's frustrated and don't know how to express himself. He crying. Daddy gonna be like,
Carlos said that's not true. We are both terrible gift receivers.
but that's for the same family. So that's I mean, but you got to think about it. I'm
Mm,
just like, man. So yeah, this is good. This
yeah.
is good stuff, man. And
It when you were talking about how you don't even know how to show up, like when your wife is crying and all that. Ooh, that hit. And I'm gonna tell you why it hit because I feel like if men are taught as as boys, as we said before, that grow up to be emotional, to show emotion, they would be very comfortable with all emotion, not just
mm-hmm,
anger, and then
mm-hmm,
emotions from other people. And because some people, and that's when I can tell too. Like if I'm showing emotion around certain people, they're like, "Ooh,"
mm-hmm.
that's how I know that person's not good with emotion. And so when you said, I don't even know how to like really show it for my wife if she's crying and that, I know there's more men that feel that very same way. I know there are men that feel that very same way. And I also think about when you said you're not a good, you're a terrible, use your words, you're a terrible gift receiver. But what you just shared, and when you first started, but you know how to give though. And this is what I'm going with this. When people say, well, what is your love language? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your love language? To me, this is how I always looked at it. I don't feel like people have a love language per se. I feel like what they enjoy the most are the things that they did not get when they were growing up, are the things that were missed out of their relationships. If you're a physical person or whatever, then you're the person that probably didn't receive that when you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the person that loves quality time, then you probably didn't get that. So I don't see it as a love language, which I understand when people say love language. But in my opinion, when those things happen, it's because you didn't receive that. It's just like when people say, "Oh, I'm an empath. I'm a this. I'm a that." Okay, I get it. I understand what the word empath means. I understand the definition. In my opinion, those are you an empath truly, or are you just hyper vigilant because you are so sensitive to the things that were always around you when you went through things? So there's
Yeah.
really things to really be thinking about. But I also know that what you just said was so good because it's like, are you really a terrible gift receiver, or are you just not comfortable receiving the things that you truly desired?
Well, and I think, and it's I receive them, but my so going back to what you said, so I wouldn't
Mhm,
even look at it as terrible gift receiver.
mhm.
Your emotions, your expressions
Yep.
don't say that you're happy to receive them, and
Mhm.
that's because you haven't been showed like the whole like we're talking about those emotions, that
Yeah.
excitement.
The
We,
excitement. It's
we
okay
wasn't
to be
told
excited.
excited. We wasn't. Boy, ain't nothing excited
Yeah.
to be. What you excited
Uh-huh.
about? Ain't nothing excited. These
Uh-huh.
bills got to be like I talked about that
Uh-huh.
question earlier. This ain't no
Uh-huh.
excitement here. What
Yeah.
like? And I think about it now. Even just like now is like I said, the bad guy of the
Hmm.
house. or the different things, and when you look at it, my wife, maybe she'll see this, right? But I
Yeah,
love
let us
this
see it.
conversation. But just being transparent, right? Not too long ago, we had to have a real conversation, which we do often, and it was on a sense of somewhere along yourself, or somewhere along, you've kind of you become, how did she word it? You become the provider, and this is when it got crazy. I didn't rebuttal it. I literally said, "You're right." Like, no, like, and this 15 years in the marriage, right? So we got two kids. We're raising a teenager, another teenager, for another time. Um, but it was like you're looking at them like in a relationship, right? You're not even a friend. You're not even friends anymore. Or you're not your business partners. You hear that all the time and different things as a black man, and the pressure that I talked about. But it was literally like, you are a provider. Great father, great man, great businessman with a blase blah, but you've become a provider. And I was like, no question. Like, Lynn, what am I supposed to do? As a black man, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm a provider. So you think about even those dads that was in home, right? One or two things. You got the man that's on the road or doing whatever the case may be, and being provider, whether he was home or not, and that goes back to generations. That goes back to granddads, or and grandfathers and great grands, or what.
They
They
do.
provided. They provided. You didn't see them. You did. If you seen them, you didn't see them cry, right? And so that's the thing about, even when you're talking about, when I said I was probably going to revert back to it and talk about it a little bit. The scariest thing, right? And I know somebody out here gonna relate to me, for the men
Mm-hmm.
watching, and I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
be the scariest thing for a man, right? The scariest thing, and I'm speaking for myself, but I've had this conversation. The scariest thing for a man is to lose himself and not know who he is. And oftentimes we go through life providing, right? Providing so much that you don't know who you are. If you was to ask right now today, and I've been working on it, who is what does Roderick Smith like to do? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't I couldn't tell you. What I used to like sports, but ask me the last time I actually made effort to sit down and not be bothered by the world and what's going on, that I watched the whole game, right? Or I used to like action movies. I can't tell you much about an action movie right now, but I can tell you about Harold in a Purple Crayon, right? Because I got kids, so things like that. And when you wake up, I think that's what happens a lot of times with men in general and black men, that pressure and that mental health thing, because you lose yourself so much and you don't know who you are, right? And then I think not having those individuals again, those fathers or those uncles that have showed you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a term, and I know that you know it, but is I started researching and learning about father wounds, right? The first time I heard it,
Mm-hmm.
let me Google it, right? And so the father wounds, of course, and I actually got it written down over here, but it was like it's a term used to describe the emotional and psychological scars left by a father who is emotionally or physically absent, right? Or who abuse or neglecting, right? And so I think that we
Yeah.
all, if you're raised like I was or come from an environment like me, you have those father wounds, right? Right. So you can, again, you can even have a dad in the house, but what is he pouring into you? What is he showing you? How many times have you seen him cry? Right? How many times you do that? And my brother, like he does a great job. Right? I lost my dad when I was a sophomore in college.
Mm-hmm.
My mother and grandma on my mom's side raised me. So my mother, dad was sophomore year. Uh, my mom, I lost her and my grandmother 3 months apart my junior year in college. So I told you I was the only one to make it out. And so now the people that I think I was going so hard for, they're not, neither one of them, none of them are here to see me watch this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the hardest. I'll be 40 in January. That's still the hardest thing in the world, that nobody can see. Yeah, they can see you, they'll be proud of you. Like, no, but I as a man that work hard, I need the physical. I need
Yeah.
them to be here to see the grandkids. You know what I'm saying? And it
Mm-hmm.
gets harder and harder each time. But those are the things, man. Those father wounds are very, very important. And oftentimes
Mm-hmm.
we really just don't know how to deal with it. I'll be open to admit it. We don't know how to deal with it. That's something I'm struggling with each
Yeah.
and every day. So this is therapy to me, Lynn, right here.
Okay.
I don't have a
Well,
count. I don't do therapy. Me and my guys, we're each other therapists, right? So
uh-huh.
frat brothers and then kind of stuff like that. But that's just me being open and being real and having a real discussion. But I
Mm-hmm.
have actually said today, I was like, I might need to start doing something. Oftentimes,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
you know that for some of us, that therapy could just
Yeah.
be a good old bottle of whiskey.
So that, yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, that temporary therapy, but
Yeah.
really getting into like all the things that you don't address, that's where therapy comes in. But and also I'm glad you said that, because that's the other reason for this podcast, for men to find each other, for men to find their community, their tribe, people they could connect with. It doesn't mean you got to be in the same state, all that, because this right here is for y'all anyway. So y'all create this for whatever you want it to be. I'm just here, because I'm being obedient to the word. But this is a place for y'all. It
Mhm.
really is. And then you said, "Well, I don't know how to get over it," because I was going to go into that question of like, what are some of the things that you are allowing yourself to do to help with father wounds or deal with the father wounds, or just like your overall upbringing that you like want to unlearn or no longer be conditioned to. Like, what are the things you are doing that you find to be helpful or healthy to help you with all of this?
Not rushing through. Number one to be not is being in the moment, right? Not rushing through life. I told you to lose yourself is the scariest thing, and I've had moments where I've literally going into that next year. I'm like literally, I'm gonna be in the moment, whether I'm at my daughter's dance recital, or my son's soccer game, or on a date or whatever. Like I have to be present in that moment, and then really paying attention to me and myself and how I'm feeling. We're again that condition word. I'm gonna keep going back to it because that was the perfect word. How are you doing today? I'm good. Like no, now I'm actively like I'm slow to respond. Oh, actually I'm not. I'm frustrated today. Right? Let me
Mm-hmm.
get myself together. All of those
Mm-hmm.
things. Being mindful about what's going on with me. Um, taking a point of when I feel like I am about to break mentally or different things like that, and understanding
Yeah.
that um, the pressure is not on me always. Those moments, right? So once I get off of here, a buddy
Mm-hmm.
reached out to mine earlier today, and he was like, "We off." He was like, "You want to go play 9 rounds?" Those are things that I enjoy doing, but I don't do. And I was like, "Yeah." So even if he don't hit me back, I think I've already made a plan up. I'm like, you know what? It's been a stressful week.
Mm-hmm.
I know I got a stressful week coming up here. If I got to go by myself, even though I hate playing, at least I'm out of this space for a while and just doing those things. Because one thing I've discovered
Yeah.
also in my life as a man, we don't need much. I think we don't need much, right? Outside of therapy and different things like that. For a
Mm-hmm.
guy, for most of my friends and the ones that I talk to, that 2 or 3 or 4 hours, that game, a getaway around your buddies, that gun range, that golf or that game, that's that mental relief. And now I'm like, let's go ahead and get back to the BS. You know what I'm saying? Or let's get back to life. So those things, just being conscious about and
Mm-hmm.
intentional in what how I feel. My wife told me a long time ago when I was in a bad space. Um, she was like, "Who put this pressure on you?"
Mm-hmm.
Even now, as I say this, it's amazing. She was like, literally, slow down. She said, "Who put this pressure on you?" She said, "I didn't
That's
never have
right.
to tell you you had to be this great father. I didn't tell you you had to be this. I didn't tell you you had to." And I was like, "Yeah, but like I put pressure on myself." So
That's
understand
right.
us as men, that we as men put a lot of pressure on ourselves that's not asked for. That's the first, right? That's the first. We
Mm-hmm.
Nobody asks us. We just put the pressure on. But it's kind of hard
Mhm.
to because we've made it through some stuff. Like for me, I can't lose, right? I can't not be successful because I work so hard. And so now it's just pouring into my son, pouring into every black man or male in general that wants to take heed of the nuggets that I'm dropping or the gems and different things like that. And I'll say this at a tender age of 39, I love mentoring. I
Mhm.
love those conversations because once you get this age, we've been through so much that we literally are giving the game away for free.
Yeah.
Like you know, it's business, man. I know millionaires or what, like everything. We really, if you take the time and effort, that's going back to being prepared. Like once they get the
Mhm.
content, not prepared. But there's people like that you will mentor. I will show you. I will ride you through the neighborhood and tell you you need to buy this property or you need to do this right. And
Yeah.
that's the heartache of this generation coming up now is because we have all these jewels and gems that people are charging for,
Yeah.
we're willing to give it away for free. But it's
Yeah.
nothing new because back in the day, our parents told us, "Hey, you can come talk to me about anything." Right? I know my brother can relate, and you're like, "Nah, I'm not letting that." And then just a special shout out to him as well. Um,
Yeah.
my father has been out of my life forever, or for a while. I grew up with him, and he was in and out of jail.
Mhm.
But like high school, I went to move with him, but I was active in sports and different things like that. So I really learned how to be the man that I am today, literally by doing the opposite of what he did. Right? If most people say, "How do you become a great person?" It was doing the opposite of him. But my brother is actually my mental space, my sense of peace. He's here locally. I don't have that father figure. I don't have that one that confide with. So just going over his house, sitting,
Mhm.
watching the game, having that man
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
That's how I'm dealing with it myself today.
Yeah. Definitely having a support system is important. And Carlos, he gave you a shout out too. He says my brother is an excellent father. He shouted you out over it, and I was like, "Oh, Carlos, that's so sweet," because we need that. And yeah, so going back to your support system, you have your wife, you have Carlos, you have your frat brothers, you have some other people you probably didn't mention. That's important. What else would you say to wrap this up? What else would you say, or what advice would you give for a man that's looking for how to express emotions? Um, no longer cry in the car. I want to get out this car. I want to do something different. Like, what else would you suggest for him to do?
Two things come to mind, right? I'm a quote person. I love words, play on words and different things like that. I'm one of those ones that I could take a sentence and I can apply it to my life and I can just live that sentence out throughout my life, whether it's a Bible scripture, whatever the case, right? Two things I would leave or that I could think of, right? I would say ask yourself, are you supported or are you surrounded? Right? Are you supported or are you surrounded? Oftentimes, us as men, right, we get in those spaces and we are surrounded, right? We just have friends or we have those places where we can go or those different individuals. That's just good to be around, right? That's really good to be around. You might be afraid to share different things and stuff of that sort, right? Those are those surroundings, right? But are you really supported? Are you supported? Are you supported when you decide to say, "Hey, I need therapy that day," or "I want to"? Are you supported with saying or going to that place where you make that decision as a man to change your career or whatever the case may be, or to change your parenting, to start showing emotions? Are you supported when you need to cry out? Do you have that brother shoulder to lean on and let you cry it out, right? Or that extra push. So are you supported or are you surrounded? I think this platform here is great because this is that supported that I'm talking about. This is supported, right? This is that support. And then it's a thing that I've been learning as an educator and mentor. It's a thing that I've been doing or saying often all the time, and that is I heard it a while ago, but it is you don't have to be a 10 to teach a 2. I'll say that again. You don't have to be a 10 to teach a 2. All you have to be is a 3, right? Oftentimes we think we need to be at this peak when it comes to giving advice, when it comes to actually asking for help or shining light or telling someone um, what you do to deal with stress and different things like that. How do you get through it? Everybody's going through something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you will never reach that 10. You will never get to the tip top, right? But all you have to be is a 3. All you have to do is experience life, right? You have soldiers out there. I say I'm a soldier to the streets, right? I've been through a lot. I've literally seen a lot. I've been through a lot. But understand that your words will benefit someone. You have purpose. You have an assignment. All of those things, and you need to share that, and you need to be supported, and you need to support others that are raising these young men to be great men that aren't afraid to express themselves, because that's creating a generation of individuals that can express themselves, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that focuses on mental health and everything else. But yeah, that's my two little nuggets for today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It says we have to share our testimony. Yes, you're right, Carlos. And that's what you've done today, Roger. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you trusting me to come and have this conversation with me. This was too good. Like, I'm telling you, this was really good. And if ever you want to come back, you let me know because, again, I know that. Oh, this was Carmen. Carmen said, excellent. I know you have touched someone here, those that are watching live and those that are going to watch the replay. Like when y'all come on and y'all share your thoughts, your hearts, your stories, you're reaching, like you say, even if you only reach that one, you're reaching that man that needs to see it, that young man, that older man, that young child, like you are reaching. And for the women that are watching, I know they're sharing it with the men that they love too. So thank you so much, Roger, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. I do want to say, like, are you doing anything in the community you want to share with us?
So right now, like I said, my main focus is the program that I'm running at the university. It's a mentor program, kind of based on retention and 4 years programming, keeping those men and things in college. It's the blueprint. So I program on um, emotional, the physical, the financial literacy, everything that I know that you're gonna need, or that those individuals, those young men are going to need once they get out of college, right? Entrepreneurship, I'm heavy on those things, but it's just the blueprint and the support system of what they need while honing in on those soft skills and different things like that. And still trying to do things or active in the local high schools as well in the community. I'm kind of all over, just wherever God puts me at, see fit, and it's kind of easy, right? I won't say easy, but being where I'm from, the projects, you hear all these stories, and I know a lot of us watching probably have similar stories, but coming up where I came from, mom and dad, and or prison, drugs, alcohol, and things of that sort, you will wonder, how do you make it out, right? It was God, of course, and then those surrounding individuals, but it's just a plan. And I taught I'm gonna leave you with this, right? I taught my son how to play chess probably when he was about 5, right? 5 years old, 5 or 6, and I like chess. And in chess, you have 3 phases of the game. You have the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? The best chess players see the end game at the beginning. And so for us as black men, this is what I know. We don't
Mm-hmm.
typically see that end game. We just out here, like you said earlier, willy nilly. We just out here just going through life, right? For those individuals that know what they want in life, right? You will never see the other race or the other side, for the most part, that literally knows he's taking over his dad's 500 fortune company. You
Mm-hmm.
not gonna see him get that distracted where he goes way over here, because I got an assignment. I got things to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So find your assignment, right? You're not gonna see him out there drunk driving and all that stuff. I'm not saying that they don't, but it's gonna be moved a little bit. Us as black men, because we don't have that place or that person in our life to keep us focused on that end game, we typically like to veer, right? So
Mhm.
though that's what I'm doing in the community. Anytime I come across somebody lost, right, and address those things. It's different
Mhm.
in time that we are, but I'm not afraid to actually address a group of young men that I don't know, right? If they out here cussing or fussing or whatever the case may be, and it's a terrible world and the turmoil that we live in now, and it's dangerous. I'm still like, I can change one. I can make
Yeah.
that. So hey, let me explain something. You never know what room you can be in, right? And I'm willing to help. If anyone sees this that has a
Mhm.
young man that want to would like to be mentored or different things like that, y'all can feel free to reach out to me because I am here for it. It's my passion.
Mhm.
I wasn't born into it. I was kind of
Mhm.
to it and then realized this was my purpose.
Mhm. Well, since you said that, how would you like for them to reach out to you? Because somebody may take you up on that.
Uh,
Do you
let's
have like a email address you don't mind sharing? Do you want them to reach out at the college? Like, how do you want them to
Yeah, they
find
can reach out at the college. So my school email. Well, right now, yeah, my school email is rsmith104 at uncfsu.edu, and that'll be the school. But and I'll actually give you my personal email, and that's Roderick Roderick Smith Smith Roderick R Smith at yahoo.com. So that's my personal. In case anything ever goes astray, you could just directly to personal. You probably can hit the personal much. So I'm not. I'll check that from time to time as
it?
well.
Mhm. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you know what? I really hope somebody does like take you up on that offer because so many young men are hurting, needing assistance, needing the support, and fathers need help too. So you never know who's going to reach out. But Roger, don't leave. I'm gonna take you down, but I want to talk to you after the podcast. I do this with everybody that comes on. So, but I want to thank you so very much for being here. Thank you, Carlos, for letting me know about your brother. He is dope too. So I appreciate that. But give me just a second, okay?
Alrighty.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us for Men Cry in the Car podcast. Episode 18 is we put it down for the books. We thank you. Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you for those that were watching live. Thank you for those that are going to catch the replay. I ask you so much to share this community, you guys. These men need to find each other. Like they need to build their community, their tribe, whatever, these resources. Share it, subscribe, share, like all the things. And as I say all the time, men, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Until next time, see you later.